He's a husband of one and father of many. On this note, I would like to welcome our permanent speaker for the day, Dr. Theophilus Excel.
Hello, thank you very much, Raphael. Please, can you confirm you can hear me loud and clear?
Yes, you are very loud and clear.
All right, thank you very much. And thanks to everyone for joining us. We have about 17 participants in the house right now. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks, Raphael, for reaching out to me and putting me on the lineup with big-time professionals like Dr. Kirby. And it was a privilege sitting under his tutelage and 2 days ago, just listening to him and learning and gleaning wisdom on how to perfect my own leadership journey as well. So, Dr. Kirby, I want to say a big thank you for tutoring us and for instructing us on how to become better leaders for our community. So thank you very much. So thanks to all my Ghanaian brothers over there in Ghana. It's a privilege to be with you all the way from Nigeria, and a fellow of my Nigerians that are also here. My manager is here with me, the manager of the Youth Resource Center, and other staff of the Youth Resource Center are also here on the call. So thanks for having me, and it's a privilege. Today we will, for me, my job has been made very easy. Just listening to Dr. Kirby, and also for those of us that were around on the first day, and those that were also available yesterday listening to Dr. Duncan, you will agree with me that if you can just put to practice, those things that you heard, you are on the right path to your leadership journey going forward, and you are prepared, or you're preparing yourself to be a wonderful leader, that perfect leader that we're looking for come the year 2050. So my job is made easy. In fact, I was almost going to tell Raphael that, Raphael, you know what? I will just come and say hi to everybody, and let's review Dr. Kirby's notes, and let's review Dr. Duncan's notes. But leadership is a subject that is very deep. Leadership is a subject that is very broad. Leadership is a subject that people spend years in Leadership Institute just studying. So you agree with me that no matter what it is, it's great to know that if we spend the next 1 week just analyzing different aspects of leadership, we will not exhaust the subject of leadership. And like I love saying, leadership is also a journey. You will not also say that just because I attended a management course on leadership, or I have a doctorate in leadership, from the moment you're awarded the certificate, that makes you an automatic great leader. No, that doesn't happen. Or the fact that you've listened to Dr. Kirby, you've listened to Dr. Duncan, and you believe, oh, I've taken notes, I will just put the notes that I've taken, I'll put them to practice, and once I've done that, I am now a great leader. The answer is no. Leadership is a journey. You start on that journey and you continue to go on that journey until you perfect yourself as a leader. Even Nelson Mandela, up until the time he was leaving this earth, Nelson never acclaimed himself to be that ultimate leader for Africa. Yeah, he shows, and he keeps saying that he's on a learning curve. He keeps using those words. I'm on a learning curve. I'm always learning. So leadership, you will continue to learn as you go on that journey. For you to be present here today, it tells me that you've taken on that baton and you're ready to continue this leadership journey. Because you could have been somewhere else. You could have been somewhere else totally different from just sitting in front of us and listening to 3 speakers for these past 3 days, every evening for 1 hour, 1.5 hours. You could have been somewhere else. But because you cherish the subject of leadership and you are preparing yourself to becoming a great and wonderful leader tomorrow, you've taken it upon yourself that you sit down and listen and glean wisdom and insight on how you can become a wonderful and great leader for the future. So on that note, I really want to say thank you for being with us. Thank you for giving us your time. Thank you for just sitting here and listening, because I'm sure at the end of the day, you will be able to pick one or two things from all that we've said, all that Dr. Pepper said, all that Dr. Duncan said yesterday, and maybe a little from what I'm going to say, because really, I'm just going to be capping up and just rounding up everything they said. So let's get going. Ladies and gentlemen, let me start this evening's discussion with this picture. I want you to go on the chat box and tell me one thing that this picture tells you, one thing that comes to your mind immediately you saw this image. What was that thing that came to your mind? I really want to see those feedback. So I'll be getting into the chat room just to get the feedback. I'm seeing first a legend. Please let me get on the chat box, please. Really look at this picture and tell me one thing that came to your mind. When for those that don't know, say you don't know who this gentleman is. But for those that know, please just drop a phrase, a word, just drop it in there. A role model, a great leader, a legend, a leader. Great. I'm still waiting. We have about 17 persons in the room. Please, I need to get like 10 feedback on this. Revolutionary. Thank you very much, Essien, for that. Thank you, Essien, for that word. Insight leader. Thank you, T-Boy. Thanks for that. And can somebody put the name of this gentleman in the chat box? Let me see. For those that know the name, Enigma. Oh, wow, Dr. Berry. Thanks for dropping that. I don't know the person, but he has nice glasses. Wow. Say that, thank you for that. Kageme Essien, thanks. You got the name correctly. I love your honest feedback. Say that. I love your honest feedback. His glasses really nice. I love those glasses myself. Okay. So his name is just Benjamin. Thanks for giving us the full name. His name is Paul Kagame. I hope I got the pronunciation right. And he's the current president of Rwanda. Paul Kagame was born in 1957. Yes, 1957. Now, let's go back to when Paul was 20 years old. And I'm sure that would be around 1977. And let's take it that Paul had the privilege in sitting down in a conference like this. And in that conference, let's assume that the theme of that conference was leadership of the future by the year 2020. So this is Paul, 20 years, when he was 20 years old, sitting down in a conference in 1977, and the theme of that conference was leadership of the future. Leadership of the future. So cast your mind, I know a lot of you were not born by the year 1977 when Paul Kagame was 20 years old. But Paul, just like you, sitting down listening to me, was sitting down in a conference 20 years when he was 20, which was almost 40 years ago, 40 plus years ago. And the theme of that conference was leadership of the future by the year 2020. What do you think the speaker will be saying that what will be some of those mega forces, some of those trends that will be shaping that future that Paul Kagame was meant to be a leader in the year 1977? So if he was sitting down in the year 1977 and you had a Dr. Perry speaking to Paul, what do you think Dr. Perry will be telling Paul will be the trends that will be, shaping the future? If you have those answers, please, I'll go back to the chat box and please let's drop some answers. What will be those things? So on the first day, we listened to Dr. Perry tell us some of the trends that will be shaping the future, our own future, when that time comes. But let's cast our mind back to when Paul was 20 years old, and some of the things that would have been, would have been said that will be shaping his future. Can I get some feedback in the chat box? A speaker writes in front of Paul, telling Paul, by the year 2020, these are the elements you need to cope with. These are the things that you need to know to be a president of a country like Rwanda. These are the things that if you know them, you will be a wonderful leader. So start preparing now. This year is 1977. Start preparing. What will some of those things be? Can I get somebody typing something? Is my question clear? Raphael, confirm you can hear me. Digital revolution, Dr. Femi, thank you very much. So that means I'm still being heard. Thank you very much. Digital revolution. What are the other things? Remember in 1977, there was no internet, for example. So I'm very sure the speaker will stay there and tell Paul, by the year 2020, there's going to be a phenomenon, there's going to be a trend that will be shaping the future. And that trend is going to be called the internet. The internet did exist in 1977, but it was only being used by the military then. You should learn hard. Thanks, colleagues. So let me progress this and go to the next slide. These will be some of the trends that the speaker would have been announcing to Paul in that conference in 1977. The speaker would have been telling Paul, the internet will be a trend, globalization will be a trend, modern warfare will be a trend, terrorism will be a trend, social media will be a trend. We live in today's world with some of those things now, but in 1977, these phenomena, these mega forces were never available. In 1977, the world was not so bothered about climate changes. In 1977, the concept of robots was not there. In 1977, resource demand was not an issue because there was enough resources for everybody in the globe at that time. But I'm sure the speaker would have told Paul Kagame, you're sitting here, you're age 20. In the next 40 years, these trends will play out. And if you are conversant with this trend, if you can get going, learning about this trend today, you will make a good leader by the year 2020, 2021. And that is the essence of this conference. This conference is organized so that we can tell you, those of you that is going to be the president by the year 2050, you're going to be ministers by the year 2050, you're going to be directors by the year 2050, you're going to be commissioners by the year 2050 and beyond. Some of you will be governors of states by the year 2060. Some of you will be governors of institutions by the year 2075. We're here to tell you there are certain trends that are already emerging that you need to get going. You need to align yourself with at this point in time. And once you're able to align yourself with these trends, you will be on your way to becoming that great leader of the future, that great leader by 2050. So let me do a recap of some of those trends as they were presented by Dr. Pepe. And I love the way he spoke about the Internet of Things and how artificial intelligence was going to help mold our world. But before I get into that, let me dive a bit into how we got here. And I titled this, The Revolution is On. The revolution is on. So if we cast our mind back to the very first revolution, the steam power discovery that brought about mechanization of tools. When humans discover that by the time you have steam, and steam can drive gears, and gears can drive machines, that brought about a huge revolution on how man started reshaping and remolding this planet. And this happened way back. Then we progressed into the second revolution, which was the mass production assembly lines. 1870 brought about this, where the mass production assembly line became a thing. And then we had the third revolution, and that is the revolution that started happening from the year 1960, 1970, when computers were discovered. And men started doing what we call programmable logic. And then we started having controllers that can be controlled using logics. The third revolution started. And we built on that third revolution over the past 2, 3, 4 decades. But now, building on that third revolution, the fourth revolution has started already, ladies and gentlemen. And that is the revolution that is going to be built on a lot of data acquisition. And I don't want to overstress this, but that revolution is going to drive the next 10, 20, 30 years. And that is the fourth revolution, the fourth industrial revolution. So the revolution is on. And the revolution is not going to wait for anybody. Things are progressing really fast. Really fast. And I'm going to be talking about some of those mega forces that this revolution is introducing, so that you start reworking your mind with your aspirations of becoming a great leader tomorrow. So let's look at some of the mega forces that will shape the future of leadership. Again, this is almost like a recap of day one. So the first, dynamic populations. Dynamic populations. Ladies and gentlemen, the demography of the world is currently in a flux. The dynamic of the demography of the world is currently in a flux. There's a lot happening. So if we go to China first, China had a population explosion, and then they came up with a policy of 1 child per family. And that policy was put in place to help drive down the population growth. But that policy right now is turning the dynamics of the demography such that it's being predicted by the year 2050 that 330 million Chinese people will be over the ages of 65. That is almost the population of America. And what will that population, what will that demography begin to speak of one of the world's most industrious countries? And what will be the impact of that outcome on the rest of the world? How will that influence places like Ghana? How will that influence places like Nigeria? How will that influence places like Europe? Where we know that most of the world's goods and services goods are currently being produced in China. So with a population that is then tending towards 65, that means we're not going to have a lot of goods being produced in China by the year 2050. But how will that shape the global sphere, the business world generally? There are other projections that are currently on the table. Projections like there's going to be a huge, population explosion in countries like India, Nigeria, Pakistan, Tanzania, Indonesia. Those countries are going to have huge population explosions. What will those population explosions? What will that mean to the rest of the world? And how will that impact leaders of tomorrow? You have to start working this in your mind as you continue in your leadership journey. I go on to the next mega force, which is the planet. The impact of climate change is becoming very real to us every day. Climate change is becoming a topical issue in a lot of conferences, in a lot of boardrooms, and it's impacting and influencing the world energy mix. How will climate change influence world politics in the next 20 years, in the next 30 years? As you start to mold yourself and becoming a leader in the future, these are some of the mega forces that you need to be very conversant with and how they impact world economies, how they impact global space. You need to get in tune with what is happening with climate change, because you will be dealing with this in its reality, in all its forms. You will be dealing with climate change as a global leader by the year 2040 to year 2050, year 2060. It's going to be a heated topic. And as a global leader, you must you must get aligned on this journey on climate change. Dr. Perry spoke about artificial intelligence and technology and how all of that is beginning to shape production, shape how we communicate as a planet, shape how we do business as a people, shape how we turn out goods and services. And so people are becoming scared already. Oh, will artificial intelligence take a lot of people out of jobs? As a leader preparing for leadership in the next decade, in the next 2 decades, in the next 3 decades, you need to start learning about artificial intelligence, because you will not dodge this. And I'm not speaking about some of our African leaders that don't have email addresses. That's not the generation of leadership that we're looking at. We're looking at you that will become a leader in Africa by 2050, a leader in Africa by 2060. And how you need to be conversant with technology and how technology can help shape your business, whether you're going to go into business or whether you're going to be a board director, how artificial intelligence can bring about effectiveness and efficiency to your business, how artificial intelligence and technology can help you shape your strategy for global business or running a global enterprise. As a leader preparing for leadership, you need to get in line with us. Cyber physical systems will be a huge topic in the next 20 years, in the next 30 years. And we're already seeing the impact in today's world. You go into some production lines, the things that you see in those production lines will amaze you. I run a plant where a lot of the processes we have are highly automated, can be done and are being done without human interfaces. How will artificial intelligence and technology help shape your business, help shape your enterprise, help you as a president of the country? Because I know for sure that out of the 23 persons sitting right here in this room, we're going to have some presidents coming out of you. So how will this impact your leadership? The next mega force is the speed of change. Riding on technology, riding on artificial intelligence, riding on big data, things are changing really fast. The global workspace is changing. Work practices are changing. Integration of multiple views at workplace is changing how we do business, how we relate. Just imagine what COVID-19 did to us as a people, did to us as a planet, and how that has shaped how we relate with each other. Within a year, the world realized that we can do conferences online. Excel can sit in the comfort of his room, right in an island in Bonny, in Nigeria, and speak in a conference with folks in Ghana, folks in Canada. All of these changes were accelerated in less than a year. And this is going to be pulling on your adaptability quotient as a leader. How adaptable, how nimble are you? Are you building yourself? Are you building that adaptability quotient? Are you becoming nimble, adaptable to changes, or you're still being rigid? I've met people that keep saying, oh no, this isn't how we did. No, this was not how we did it 10 years ago. 10 years ago, this was what we used to do. 10 years ago, this is how, 20 years ago, this was how. Guy, we've moved on. Things have moved. This is not 10 years ago. This is not 20 years ago. We're in today. And today, things have changed. Then you can imagine the speed of change of things in the next 10 years, in the next 20 years. What's going to happen next? We don't even know. Things are changing really fast, ladies and gentlemen. And as leaders preparing for leadership in the future, you need to start working on your adaptability quotient. I know Dr. Duncan yesterday spoke on IQ's intelligent quotient. She spoke about social quotient, SQ. She spoke about emotional quotient. I'm bringing adaptability quotient to your table today. Your ability to adapt to changes, and even yourself being an agent of change, driving change yourself. This is one of the great qualities we are looking for in leaders and leadership of the future. Again, pulling out of climate crisis, there is a huge drive to low carbon economies. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but this is going to change. This is going to impact leadership in the next 10 years. Low carbon economies. And what are we talking about? The world is driving towards zero emissions. Simple. We want to do away with fossil fuel. And you can imagine how this is going to impact countries that solely depend on hydrocarbons as revenue sources. Countries like Saudi Arabia, countries like Russia, countries like Nigeria, countries like carbon economies. This is one mega force that will definitely impact you as a leader. Because the world is going to react to this in different ways. Leaders, whether you're in business, whether you're a leader in great enterprises, whether you're leading a corporation, whether you're leading your own private business as an entrepreneur, the drive towards low carbon economy is going to be a mega force that will shape the future of tomorrow. We're moving towards net zero, zero emissions. You need to get familiar with this concept. We cannot overemphasize, we cannot overstate the impact of globalization. Today, the world is becoming more and more of a big city. And it no longer matters the currency of your country because we can trade in any currency. I can sit in comfort of my room and do business in China without even having to know the person I'm doing business with. All of this will get even, the global space will shrink some more in the coming years. And as a leader in that coming years, you need to prepare for this. And the last mega force I really want to speak about is a new talent landscape. The new talent landscape. As a leader, you need to be prepared for this. You're going to have to lead a group of people that are very dynamic, a group of people that almost are at the same knowledge level with you. You will be leading a group of people that will push more for diversity and inclusion in the nearest future. And those concepts like diversity and inclusion will become louder and louder and louder, whether in politics, in national governance, or whether in enterprises, leading a corporation as a manager. This concept, this mega force will shape your influence as a leader. There are going to be people within your leadership pool, whether they're Generation Z, Generation XZ, Generation Y, that have multiple skills. You go into their CV and you'll be like, oh, wow, what do I say this guy is? Is he a mechanical engineer? Is he a mechatronic engineer? Is he a computer scientist? Or is he a business administrator? There are going to be people with multidisciplinary skills in that future. And he must be ready to lead this group of people. So these are some of the mega forces, and it's not an exhaustive list, but these are some of those forces that will definitely shape the future of tomorrow. And as leaders, you must be prepared for this. So what are some of the fibers of the future leaders? What are some of the things that we will be looking for in future leadership? As you prepare and as you continue your journey as a future leader, these are some of the things we want to see in your DNA. I start with purpose and vision. Purpose and vision. Outstanding leaders have a strong sense of mission and purpose. They're clear in their mind. It's clear what they want to solve, what problem they want to solve on the planet. It's clear in their mind. Whether they're going into business, they have a clear purpose for getting into business. Whether they're going into governance, into governance, national governance, state governance, legislation, whatever they're going into, it's clear in their minds. You know, nowadays they said, oh, don't ask a child, oh, what would you like to become when you grow up? You know, we're changing that language, right? You don't ask kids that question anymore. Rather, we encourage to ask kids, what problem would you love to solve on planet Earth? Because once you know that problem, your purpose is becoming clear to you. So whether you're going to solve the problem of hunger, whether you're going to solve the problem of lack of education, whether you're going to solve the problem of disease and sicknesses, that problem that you can see yourself, you're drawn to it. Every time they mention that thing, something inside of you tickles. Whenever they mention that issue, something inside of you flips. You're beginning to align with your purpose. And for leaders, that purpose is always very clear. Then once that purpose is clear, I am born to solve the telecommunication problems of the world, of this planet. People like that became the Bill Gates of this world. They then set out a mission, a strategy on how to solve this. And what is your vision? So let me link your vision to your purpose. Your vision is your purpose in picture. Your vision is your purpose in picture. So let me give you an instance. So let's say it's clear in your mind how you want to solve the problem of illiteracy. And then in your mind, you start seeing yourself building a university. That is your vision. You start seeing because the university is not there yet. You start seeing the university in the future. You start seeing it. And as you start seeing it, you start seeing the purpose, yourself working that purpose in that vision. Because in seeing that university, your purpose, you're seeing yourself working that purpose out. And then you start putting together what is the strategy of me actualizing that purpose through this vision that I see. You see the problem of lack of good leadership in our national governance, and you see yourself sitting down as the president of Ghana. That's the vision. And what is the purpose? You're not just seeing yourself sitting down as the president of Ghana because you just want to become a president. No, you have a purpose in mind. You want to fix the problem of corruption. You want to fix the problem of lack of good governance. You want to bring leadership to national dialogue. And then you see that vision. And every time you close your eyes, you see yourself sitting down in that Oval Office. That's your vision. So for leaders, even starting now, what is that purpose? What is that thing, that problem that is beginning to trigger something in you that you would love to solve on this planet? And some of you already see yourself, okay, I'm going to solve the problem of illiteracy. But you're currently studying mechanical engineering. Your strategy is wrong. That's a different topic for another day. But come back to it. Once you have your purpose clear in your mind, you start seeing the vision of what you want to fix. You put the strategy together. And as a leader, your strategy can take years to build, but you're focused on it. So you start building precept upon precept. You start working your ways. And once you have your purpose clear, your vision is ahead of you, your lifestyle changes. And that was what Dr. Duncan was speaking about yesterday. The way you behave change. The way the people you associate with changes. The type of books you read, the type of movies you watch. So I can imagine that young man that is thinking about bringing good governance to national politics. The type of books you read will change, because now you start reading books about presidents, you start reading biographies, you start studying history about your country, you start listening to speeches. Every time people see you, you have your ear plugged. They say, "Oh, what are you listening to?" "I'm listening to the speech of Barack Obama when he took over the president of America. I'm listening to the speech that was presented by Gandhi. I'm listening to Nelson Mandela," because you know already where you're going to. This is what we want to see in the DNA of our leaders for tomorrow. Purpose and vision. Just, if you permit me, the good book, the Bible says that where there is no vision, people will perish. The lack of vision. That means whenever you close your eyes, you see nothing. You will perish. That means you've not even clicked on what is that purpose? What is my purpose on earth? Why am I here? What am I here to solve? What am I here to do that will make humanity better? That purpose. Because once you click with that purpose, this is what I'm going to do that will better humanity. Once you have that purpose clear in your mind, then you start seeing a vision. And once you start seeing a vision, you're on your path to making sure that we as humans don't perish. Take a look at this man. If I ask you one word, describe Nelson Mandela, one word, what would that word be? Freedom, freedom, freedom. His purpose was clear. His purpose was clear. And once that purpose was clear to Nelson, he could articulate it. He could say it. And when things were presented to him to take him away from that purpose, Nelson said, "No, I'm not going to take a bargain to leave the prison to trade off my purpose." It says to be free is not merely to be cast off one's chain. It's not merely to cast off one's chain, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others' purpose. And he kept seeing a free South Africa. His vision, every time he closed his eyes, he sees South Africa that was free from appetite. He saw people that were going about their businesses without fear of prejudice, without fear of being molested. He saw that. Purpose. This is another young man that his purpose was clear. And he kept articulating that vision. He says, "Guys, I have a dream. Guys, I have a dream. Guys, I have a dream. That one day, I've got a dream. That one day." As a leader, you need to close your eyes and keep telling people around you, "Guys, I have a dream. I'm going to become the Minister of Education. I have a dream. I'm going to fix the problem of illiteracy. I have a dream. I've got a vision. I've got a dream. I've got a vision. I can see it. I'm going to be the greatest farmer in Africa. I have a dream. I'm going to solve the hunger situation in Africa. Africa will no longer be a place where we beg for food. I have a dream. I'm going to have the biggest farm. I'm going to grow crops. I'm going to feed Africa. I have a dream." You see your purpose. Solve the hunger problem. You see the vision. I'm going to build the biggest farm in Africa. And then you cannot hold yourself. This is what we want to see in leaders of the future. Desmond Tutu, God bless him for us and keeping him alive. Everybody knew him for what he stood for or what he stands for till date. Peace. He says if you want peace, you don't talk to friends. We know Desmond had to take on very tough task of going to have negotiations with people that were at war. His purpose was clear. Peace. Peace. I'm going to solve the problem of dispute. I'm going to solve the problem of crisis with humanity. And then he kept seeing peace. One world, one peaceful world. Peace. If I ask you today, listening to me, whenever you close your eyes, what do you see? If you see nothing, then there's a problem. Because the good book says, when there is no vision, when you can see nothing, we're going to perish, people. We're going to perish. One of the other things we want to see in the DNA of future leaders is drive. Drive. That passion to keep going. That power of resilience. Drive. A dedication to that vision, because once that picture is clear in your mind, you're dedicated to it. Leaders don't give up. They don't take no for an answer. There can be a mountain in front of them. They ask yourself, oh, this mountain, okay, can we bring it down? They say, no, we can't bring down the mountain. The next question is, how can we go around this mountain? Leaders don't take no for an answer. This is what we want to see in DNAs of leaders of tomorrow. If you want to be that leader, drive. Every time I see the picture of Mohammed bin Rashid, I see drive. His elder brother that died in the year 2006, it was quoted, he said, I'm going to turn Dubai to a global hub. I want to turn the UAE to a place such that there's no time you pull the map of the world and your eyes don't go there. He had a vision. His country was a desert, but he never allowed that deprive him from what he was seeing. He was seeing a Dubai that will become a global hub, whether it's for tourism, whether it's for aviation, whether it's for recreation. He saw that future. Impossible is not in the DNA. Leaders in 2050, leading great enterprises, leaders in 2050, leaders that will be leading entrepreneurs from Africa, that will take it upon themselves, that we will take on the challenge of the global space. And we will lead Africa where our people go, clapping hands, begging international communities for AIDS. We will be giving out AIDS to countries. We can no longer survive. We want to see leaders that will say, yes, we will no longer be borrowed. Let people come borrow from us. Today we see African leaders that take pride in borrowing trillions of dollars. Guys, you know, I'm not sure those guys have any vision. I'm not sure they have any vision. Drive. What else do we want to see in leaders of tomorrow? Like I said, whether you're leading a business, whether you're leading a corporation, whether you're leading the nation, whether you're leading a state, whether you're leading your clan or your family, ability to embrace change. Today we have leaders in Africa, in businesses, in governance, that keep telling us, this is how we did it in 1960. This is how we did it in 1970. This is how we wrote the Constitution. The Constitution of this country was written in 1970. Those people that wrote the Constitution in 1970 are dead. They are all gone. We need leaders that will be adaptable, nimble. flexible, change leaders, change agents. And if I borrow the words of Jeff Bezos, he said his greatest fear is that he's going to be haunted by that singular fact that he never tried. Come on, guys. We want leaders that will step on waters. That's what we're looking for in the DNA of leaders of tomorrow. Last one I'd like to talk about. I hope it's my last. No, okay, no. Second to the last in the DNA. It's commitment to core values. Ladies and gentlemen, you will agree with me that this is something that we grapple with in this continent of Africa, where our leaders don't have values. But we cannot take this into the leadership of the future. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot. We cannot afford to take Africa. We cannot afford to take Ghana. We cannot afford to take Nigeria. We cannot afford to take South Africa. We cannot afford to take the countries of the world into the future, into future leadership without a commitment to core values. What are we committed to as leaders? What are the ethics? Where are our ethics? What are those values that we will not compromise as leaders? Why is it that the continent of Africa is tamed by corruption? Because we don't have leaders that are committed to the core value of integrity. Where national funds doesn't become personal funds. These are values that we're looking for in leaders of tomorrow. So if you're set to become a leader, and for which I do appreciate you are, because you're sitting here, you've been here for 3 days listening to this. If you're set for this leadership journey, we cannot tolerate if you're not ready to commit to core values, morals, transparency, self-discipline, empathy. These are core values that we require from leaders of tomorrow. Strong commitment to core values. Why is it that every time a president is leaving office, the next thing that is happening is that we are setting up panels to investigate corruption acts that took place under their watch? Leaders that are not committed to core values, integrity, transparency, accountability. Leaders of tomorrow, get ready. This will be demanded from you more than ever before. See what is happening in social media today. African leaders can no longer hide. So they decided they will be shutting down social media. They will shut down Twitter. They will shut down Facebook. They will shut down LinkedIn. Because they want to hide. Tomorrow, you as a leader of tomorrow, you will not be able to hide. So you better get on the train and get committed to core values, because the citizenry is going to be demanding from you more accountability, more transparency as a leader for tomorrow. Are you ready to get on that journey, ladies and gentlemen? Ghanaians are waking up. Nigerians are waking up. Tanzanians are waking up. Indians are waking up. People are waking up across the globe, and they're beginning to challenge their leaders to more transparency, challenging leaders to more accountability. If you stop us from going to the streets to demand accountability, we get on social media and we demand it from you. You cannot hide. Commitment to core values. This is one of those things that we're looking forward to having in great leaders, DNAs of great leaders, whether you're leading corporations, I keep saying it, whether you're leading a business as an entrepreneur, or whether you're leading governance at the national level or the state level or at the local level, will be demanding from you your commitment to core values such as integrity, transparency, accountability, respect for the rule of law. Let me give you a few seconds to soak this in. Guys, are you still with me?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for staying with me. Thank you for staying with me. The last fiber of DNA we're looking forward to from leaders of tomorrow is articulation and communication. A few weeks ago, we had to do an event, for which we had to bring in the highest or the number one citizen of my country. And for that event, we had to write speeches. For that event, we had to vet speeches. This is not going to happen from leaders of tomorrow. We're not going to take this for leaders of tomorrow. You see our leaders today go to meetings, and immediately they get in the meetings, national security meetings, national business economic strategy meetings. Immediately they get in there, the president of your country opens a speech. He reads his speech. The minister of economics opens his speech. He reads his speech. The minister of education opens his speech. He reads his speech. Guys, you can just send those speeches to us to read at home. We need leaders that will be able to articulate their purpose. We need leaders that will be able to articulate the vision they see and have the ability to communicate that persuasively to the populations. So if you're on that journey to becoming a great leader, start learning the skill of great articulation. Start learning the skill of communication. Every time you give Barack Obama a microphone, Barack will speak. Anytime you give Barack a microphone and a topic, Barack will speak. I put a picture of one of my great mentors at the bottom left corner. I don't know how many of you know Vusi Tembekwaya. Vusi is less than 35 years old and is one of the greatest speakers we have in Africa right now. You can go check him out on YouTube, check him out on Google. Vusi Tembekwaya. Give Vusi a microphone and tell him a topic. Vusi will speak. Great leaders have the ability to put their thoughts together in words and persuasively convince the devil to become an angel of light. This is one of those fibers we're looking for in the DNA of leaders of tomorrow. Want leaders that will step up on global stage, on global platforms, and be able to articulate the challenges of their countries and be able to provide solutions without blinking or without consulting with an aide, because everything they need to say is right there in their head. You see the purpose, they see the vision they have for their country whenever they close their eyes, and they could articulate the purpose and the solutions and the strategies with which they will bring the vision into reality. This is missing, this is lacking in African leaders of today. Ladies and gentlemen, we will not allow this as a people to get into the future. So why, as I begin to round up, let's look at the country, because I appreciate the fact that this is an international conference. So we have representatives from Ghana, representatives from different countries listening on the call at the moment. Let's look at Africa. Why is Africa colored with so much negativity, as you could see from the image on the left? And what do we need to get leaders, to get Africa to what I have on the right? A continent that will become an investment hub for the globe. A continent that people will come to learn business strategies and business skills. A continent that will become the hub and the center of creativity for planet Earth. A continent that will become the capital venture of the world, that where businesses and entrepreneurs want to set up businesses in places like America, they say, let's go to Africa, let's go to Nigeria, let's go to Ghana, let's go to Kenya, let's go to Rwanda to collect loans to finance businesses in America. Everything rests on the shoulders of leadership. To transform this dark image I have here on my left to this bright and colorful image that I have on my right, it's on the shoulders of leadership. Again, I quote the good book: when there is no vision, the continent continues to stay black, painted and colored by disease, drought, terrorism, colonization, debts. It's on the shoulder of leadership to take us from the left to the right. Shoulder of leadership. So talking about African leadership, my mind went back to the founding fathers. The Kwales of this world, the Nnamdi Azikiwe's of this world, the Julius Nyerere's of this world, the Gamas that founded Africa, and the vision they had for Africa. They fought for Africa in the 60s, they fought for Africa in the 50s, they fought for Africa in the 40s, and they were able to set up institutions that convinced the world to give majority of African countries their independence. But something went wrong along the line in the second generation of leadership, when the Idi Amin's of this world started ruling Uganda. When the Charles Taylors of this world and the Samuel Doe's of this world started taking over Liberia. When people like Sani Abacha took over Nigeria. When Joseph Kony started worrying Uganda. You want me to talk about Mugabe? We got it wrong. In the second generation of leaders, we got it wrong. Corruption, civil war, inflation, just name it, took over our continent because we had a set of leadership that was totally not committed to core values, that unabiding respect for rule of law, that was never transparent, leadership that was corrupt from the crown of their heads to the sole of their feet. We got it wrong, Africa. But we begin to see an emergence of new set of leadership. What I call the third generation of leaders that are beginning to clean the mess that this generation of leaders cause. So today, Nana Akufo is beginning to do some transformative work in Ghana. George Weah is beginning to do some transformative work. And we could see leadership beginning to show some elements of a bright future for Africa. But this set of leaders, the third generation, will soon go. And they're going to hand over to you, listening to me. They will surely hand over to you. What paint are you going to paint the canvas of Africa with? Are you going to paint the canvas of Africa with corruption, just like the second generation of leaders? Or are you going to go back to the fundamentals that were laid by the founding fathers and the vision they had for Africa? When leadership begins to drop on your shoulders, what paint are you going to paint the canvas of Africa with? So from you as leaders, this next generation of leaders will be demanding accountability. We need leaders that will be more accountable to our people. We need leaders that will have respect for the rule of law. We need leaders that's going to create social and economic prosperity. We need to turn Africa around. We need leaders that will promote unity across board. Enough of tribalism, enough of nepotism. We need leaders that will create and build strong institutions and sustain such institutions. Listening to me this evening, ladies and gentlemen, is a bunch of transformational leaders. That's who you are. We're ending this conference after 3 days with the mindset that you are a transformational leader. You're one of those that will be transforming Africa and building on the foundation and the visions that were cast in place by the founding fathers. So youth of today, you need to start developing the critical thinking, skills of critical thinking, creative endeavors and imagination, social interactions, and physical dexterity, so that you are better equipped for the leadership of the future. I'll drop with you four things. First, if you're still seeking for purpose, if you're still lost for what problem you want to solve, there is a good starting point for you. The sustainable development themes, the sustainable development goals as defined by the United Nations are a good starting place for you. Go to those. Associate yourself with any of those themes. Those themes will definitely trigger something in you. In there, we have the problem of world hunger. In there, we have the problem of illiteracy, disease. There are a good number of them. Problems that we are looking for solutions. We're looking for leaders that will help us solve globally at a global scale. Starting from your local community and building on that until you get to that stage where you're taking on your country. It's a good starting point to define purpose. Number 2, seek learning opportunities. It is in learning opportunities that you will develop the skill of critical thinking, because we need leaders of tomorrow that will have that skill of critical thinking, strategists. People that will see a problem and not shy away from it, but be able to come to the drawing table with a clean canvas and be able to put on strategies on how to overcome those problems. Learn. Sitting down in a conference like this is a learning opportunity. Reading books. Great readers are always great leaders. My team knows that that's one of my greatest mantra. That a great reader will always be a great leader. Read books. Attend conferences. Seek out opportunities that help sharpen your philosophy of leadership. Don't waste your time on things that will not benefit you and your journey as a leader. Seek learning opportunities. Number 3, raise up your hand. Put yourself up as a volunteer. Step up into leadership opportunity whenever they show up. Because in volunteering yourself to be a leader within your community, within your institution, within your locality, within your state, within your association, within your church or your mosque, that is how you begin to build your muscles of leadership. That's how you learn. That's how you learn how to deal with people. That's how you learn how to develop the skill of critical thinking. You cannot build your muscle by wishful thinking. You build your muscles by going to a gym to lift weights. Volunteering to lead in various leadership positions is how you build your muscles as a leader. Don't say, oh yes, I'm going to wait until I'm 45 years and when I'm 45, I will become the president of my country. No, start now. Start now. Become the follower of that leader. And whenever there's an opportunity to lead a small team, raise up your hand and say, yes, I am here. I will lead that team. I will handle this. I will handle that. By putting up yourself to lead, you will build your leadership muscles. So that by the time the platform to lead at the state level, the platform to lead at the global level is presented to you, you are ready. Last but not the least, ladies and gentlemen, number 4, seek out a leader whose values and leadership style aligns with yours, and let that person mentor you. I know there are a number of leaders out there that are not ready to mentor people. In fact, they're not ready to mentor young people. But seek out, there are still leaders, there's still a number of business leaders, national leaders, leaders in governance, leaders in institutions, religious institutions, educational institutions that were ready to mentor and guide you in your leadership journey. Seek their attention and let them mentor you. That way you will learn the ropes. You will know where they failed so that you don't go that path. You will know where they succeed, the things that made them successful, and how you can build on those things. Seek out a mentor. With those 4 things, I want to say good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Raphael, over to you.
Wow, I'm really, really excited and I've learned a lot. But before I bring a summary of what I've actually learned, I'll actually allow everyone here to ask a question. I believe from this brief presentation, we have lots of questions, and yes, it's so mind-touching and it's so deep. It's so deep, I must say. So for now, please, if you have a question for Dr. Theophilus, please kindly just raise a hand and we'll call you. Okay, so continuous, please speak. So the rest can raise your hands whilst we take it systematically.
Okay, thank you very much, Brother Raphael,
Please, you
and
can speak.
thank you very much, Dr. Excel, for this wonderful speech. But when you were speaking, you spoke about artificial intelligence, and I've been thinking about artificial intelligence. I realized that one thing about preparing towards the future's artificial intelligence is that we in Africa over here are not, our educational system is in a form of humanities courses. I stand to be corrected, but when we talk of schools which are preparing towards artificial intelligence, who are making more research on artificial intelligence, they are schools which are found in US, China, India, and the rest. Yeah, but when you come here, it's mostly about artificial intelligence. It's mostly about humanities, and then we've been studying it since childhood, from nursery, KG, primary, GHS, SHS, to even the universities. So in preparing towards leadership in the future, you told us that we should divert in we should specialize in artificial intelligence. Not really, but he said we should also prepare towards artificial intelligence. So I want to know whether we should divert from what we've been studying from childhood to artificial intelligence, or there is a way that we can apply in order to be better abreast with the system before it comes in the future. Please, I hope you get my question.
Yes, I did. I got your question, Colinus. Thanks for that. Um, I think it's a so I do have the honor and privilege of having Dr. Belby around. Dr. Belby, please, if you don't mind, you want to give this a short. Please, the mic, the floor is open for you, Dr. Belby, and then I can then say one or two things as well. So, Dr. Perry, if you're available, please, I appreciate your comments on this.
Yes, well, thank you, Dr. Excel. That was awesome. I really enjoyed listening to you, and I've learned a lot myself, which is an example for the rest of you people. We never stop learning. You know, a wise man once said that whoever stops learning is old, whether that happens at 17 or at 70. All right. And so I've learned a lot, you know, from what you shared today. So thank you very much. I'm better today than I was yesterday. That's a very good question. What I think was asked by Cornelius. And Cornelius, life is complex, and life isn't just made of one subject. It's like asking me which of my fingers should I cut off. All right. Although all fingers are not the same, all fingers are important. So I would say that no, we do need the humanities. No, we do need the arts. Yes, we do need every one of these subjects. But looking at where we're going, some things need to be prioritized. And there's a lot of talk about STEM, you know, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. We need to strengthen that. So we're not saying let's abandon the humanities, but we need to strengthen and prioritize STEM. That's the way I put it. In fact, there was a wise old philosopher who once said that a society that honors philosophy but does not take plumbing seriously. You think plumbing doesn't matter. What will happen soon is that neither their philosophies nor their plumbing will hold water. All right. So let's not look down on any aspect of life. Like I told you on Monday, for example, religion is not going to go away. But what kind of religious leaders are we going to get? All right. So no subject is useless, but we need to, looking at our strategic vision, we need to prioritize and focus on some while others support. And that is the way I would answer it.
Thank you very much, Dr. Perry. Always a pleasure having you speak to this subject. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. And Colinus, there's basically nothing I need to add to that. Every subject is important, just like Dr. Perry said. Every subject. What we don't want from leaders is to then say, as a leader, there is a phrase I used to say, right? I read somewhere. You should have an idea about everything, but be a specialist in something, right? I'll say that again. Have an idea about everything, but be a specialist in something. So if the humanities is your area of specialty, yes, specialize there. But we will not have leaders in 2050 that will be ignorant of artificial intelligence. And when you ask that leader, what is a Bitcoin? And then that leader says he doesn't know. No. That will not. You should have an idea. So we are not abandoning humanities. And it also speaks to the adaptability quotient of Africa and our institutions, where our rates of accepting change and flowing along with change is very slow. So while country institutions are really adapting fast and like, these are the global trends, and this is the subjects we need to start teaching, STEM. But our adaptability quotient is almost zero. So you have institutions that will pride themselves in being ivory towers. They were ivory towers in the 70s with their humanities. But the world has gone past those ivory tower-ish. You know, we're in a different phase right now, so they need to upgrade, right? So it's a conversation that we continue to have with institutional leaders to accelerate their adaptability quotient as institutions and embrace global changes, right? Until that happens, you and I will still be casualties to these systems. But that doesn't mean that technology hasn't also provided us means of learning some of those things. You go into Coursera today, there are free courses in Coursera on artificial intelligence. There are free courses available in different platforms on artificial intelligence. And it will amaze you how much you can learn on YouTube on artificial intelligence. So much that by the time you dedicate yourself, reading your humanities in school, plus just dedicating yourself to reading and learning about artificial intelligence, right? So I think I'll anchor it that. Raphael, over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pebby and Dr. Theophilus. So we have a next hand raised, and that's Joel Leonard. Please, you can speak now. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. My name is Joel Leonard. I'm a Nigerian, even though I'm connecting from South Africa. Thank you very much, Dr. Excel, for the wonderful presentation. My question goes thus: how do you encourage us in code that you have referred to as the next set of leaders, the next set of transformational leaders that are in the future? How do you encourage us to take up the bold step, having had history of people like Nelson Mandela go to jail, having people like Louis Rangasora killed, having people like Martin Luther King Jr. killed, having people like Sowore of Nigeria being intimidated, being shot, and then nothing is done about it. Having people, in fact, a hell lot of them, I believe you know what I'm saying, that a lot of people who took out this desire to change the world were intimidated by a handful of people. Like they had more enemies than friends. Even in the case of Jesus Christ, we saw how he was also killed. So how do you encourage us? Because I believe that the era in which these people, these past leaders, faced intimidation is worse now. We can see the case of Nnamdi Kanu, who a Nigerian who is also making sure that his people gain freedom, is also being intimidated. So I feel the intimidation is more now than before. I beg to be corrected anyway. But how do you encourage us? How do we go about it? Having seen these things happen to people that we want to be like, how do you encourage us? And being a Nigerian, and then staying outside the country now, I feel there's a lot of difference. You also, Dr. Excel, have been outside Nigeria like multiple times. You know the difference. And I fear for my life, you know, coming back to Nigeria to take up a position because the rule of law have been completely broken compared to some other places. So how do you encourage people like us, you know, who are scared, even though we have the desire of taking up these leadership positions? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Joel. The quest for leadership, it's a tough one, right? The quest for leadership is a tough one. And if you go back to history, so it's not something that is, and you did a bit of history dive. Even down to the life of Jesus Christ, who was also a leader in his time when he was crucified. The quest for leadership is tough, but great leaders, and I keep saying this, will always surmount the odds. And they are surmounting the odds not because they are not being faced with the challenge of the eventuality of their cause, but because they are being pulled and pushed by the vision they see on the inside. So look at Nelson Mandela. The story of Nelson Mandela, if Nelson would have been killed by just a jailer, Nelson would have just died in Robben Island and nobody would care about him. But with that, with the fear of death, that never really dissuaded him from pushing forward for the South Africa that you're in today. And that is one of the characteristics of great leaders, fearlessness. You cannot step into that leadership path with a spirit of fear. And that spirit, that fearless spirit, is such that you're telling yourself, I can put my life on the course, on the table for the cause that I'm pursuing. And they're very clear with this. Leaders have to be very clear with that. Even for leaders that are even not politically right, they also stand the chance of being killed. So you have political opponents killing themselves, despite the fact that both of them are corrupt. But because of what is in their inside, they prefer to go for that leadership position, knowing fully well that by the time I put up my hands and say I want to become a president of the country, my life is on the line. But that fearlessness is what drives you as a leader. You know what Jesus Christ said? He said, for the joy that is set ahead of me, isn't that? I suffer the pains of today. That's the words of the leader. For the vision that I want to bring to reality that's ahead of me, I will continue to push on my cause. So Nelson Mandela continued to push, and the result of the South Africa that you are in today. If he had given up, only God knows whether South Africa will still have its freedom. Maybe it's another leader would have emerged that is fearless. But courage and fearlessness are some of the great qualities of leaders. And I encourage everyone that is stepping into that path of leadership, you must be fearless. Because it's, like you said, it's not going to go away like this. So people will intimidate you, but you stand for the cause. People will push you, but you stand for the cause. They will threaten you, you stand for the cause. Knowing fully that one day, the God that you serve, the God that gave you the vision and made the purpose clear for you, who will bring it to pass. And there's going to be a magic one. No, it's not going to happen. Leaders, no. You must be fearless. And that's my encouragement to everyone here that is stepping into the place of leadership. You must step into the place of leadership with boldness. Moses was handing over to a young man called Joshua in the good book of the Bible, and he told him, be bold, be courageous. Those are things that must follow a leader. Boldness, courage. If you're still entertaining fear, scratch my head for leadership journey, man. Be bold. I hope I've been able to touch on this and over to you, Rafa. I don't know if Dr. Perry wants to add a few words to this. If not, Rafa, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. So for any further question, please kindly raise your hand if you have any question or anything to say before we end the session. Okay. So, okay. So if you do have any, you can just raise your hand and I would actually get back to you. So before we end the session, I would like to say a big thank you to everyone that made it from the various countries. We had people from Uganda, people from Nigeria, also from Ghana, yeah, from different universities here in Ghana, and some affiliates from Turkey, UK, and Dr. Pebi and his team from Canada, and also some of our affiliates from South Africa joining. We really appreciate everything on behalf of the NIS board. And I'll say this summit is our greatest event ever in NIS. And I've really learned a lot from our prominent speakers. So I will just leave something from what I've picked out from our fellow prominent speakers. And firstly, I'll say that only deeply transformed leaders can deeply transform their world. And a good leader does not only need intelligence quotient, but also need social quotient, emotional quotient, political quotient, and finally, as we learned today, the adaptivity quotient. And as a good leader, I'll finalize by saying this to every one of us here today, that 2050 expects greater things from us. So let us start with a great foresight. And we must have a great vision that is driven by an intense purpose. We must be committed to the core values and also ever ready to communicate and influence our world. And lastly, I'll say a great leader is fearless. Thank you all very much. And just to add up again, there's one thing I learned during all the sessions, and I realized this so much. Every great emerging leader for today that is emerging for 2050 and the years ahead, the decades ahead, they always have a great mentor. When we throw back on the great leaders we have today, Ngozi Wela, and so many great leaders, we had great people that mentored them. So I would like us to use this privilege to connect to Dr. Pebby and connect to Dr. Excel and also connect to Dr. Pell. I'll do my best to share their social media on those, their slides, that's the presentation slides, and also the links to their recordings as well, so that you can access them anytime, anywhere. And I wish you all the best. And it is my earnest desire to see you in decades to come being great leaders in 2040, 2050, 2060, 2070, and making our prominent speakers of this summit proud. God bless you, and thank you very much.